Collect. It's time for the news.
Good evening and welcome to the News at 8, coming to you live from our Pocket Hill studios. I am Tariro Manamike with Susan Masona at the Sign Language Desk.
Indeed, it is a beautiful evening, Tari. It is the first day of February in the year 2025. I'm Liam Bernard with Marilyn Gwenya from our Montreux studios. Will join us much later. These are our leading stories tonight.
SADC calls for immediate joint summit with East African Community on Democratic Republic of Congo instability.
And in business news, Zimbabwe sets its first quarter deadline for public-private partnerships guidelines to boost infrastructure projects.
And in sport, Zimbabwe relegated to Davis Cup Africa Zone Group 3 after a 4-0 loss to Morocco.
There's our leading stories tonight. We start off with the first report. The extraordinary summit of SADC, head of state and government, which ended in the capital this Friday, called for an immediate joint summit of SADC and the East African Community to discuss the deteriorating situation in the DRC. And now our chief correspondent, Josephine Mugio, filed that report.
With close to a decade of unrest, the eastern parts of the Democratic Republic of Congo DRC continue to face instability and chaos, with fights over power and resources. This has seen millions being displaced and thousands being killed in the long-stretching crisis. Over the years, efforts have been put in place to restore peace and stability, but that has not been fully attained. Recently, peacekeepers were killed by the M23 rebels, and this drew the ire of the regional and international community. With the humanitarian crisis in Goma worsening, SADC called for an urgent extraordinary summit of heads of state and government, which was chaired by President Emmerson Mnangagwa this Friday in Harare. After deliberating for several hours behind closed doors, the leaders made a number of resolutions which were read out in a communique. As the summit expressed concern that the recent attacks continued to worsen the humanitarian crisis, they called for an urgent joint summit with the East Africa Community, as also proposed by the EAC.
The summit reiterated its support to the diplomatic efforts to secure a peaceful resolution to the conflict in the Eastern DRC. Summit called for the immediate dispatch of ministers of defense, chiefs of defense, and troop contributing countries to DRC to ensure the summit DRC troops are safe and facilitate immediate repatriation of the deceased troops and those who are injured. Summit called for an immediate joint summit of SADC and East African Community EAC to deliberate on the way forward regarding the security situation in the DRC.
SADC chairperson President Emmerson Mnangagwa underscored the need to ensure peace and stability are restored in the Democratic Republic of Congo.
I'm confident that the concrete decisions adopted today will further propel the ongoing joint efforts to find lasting solutions to restore peace and normalcy in the Eastern Democratic Republic of the Congo. Undoubtedly, consolidating solidarity and attaining our common destiny remains a top priority for our region. The realization of the SADC Vision 2050 and the Africa we all want under the AU Agenda 2063 are intricately dependent on an unshakable foundation of political stability, peace, and security. As masters of our own destiny, we therefore remain relentless in our quest to create a SADC and an African that plays its part at the global stage, guided by the ideals of Pan-Africanism and the spirit of African Renaissance.
The SADC chairperson also said it is critical for all member states to work towards permanent silencing of guns to ensure peace prevails.
It is the individual and collective duty of all member states to do much more towards permanently silencing the guns if we are to succeed in achieving these aspirations. Together, we must march forward. No one and no place must be left behind.
President Mnangagwa said the regional bloc must not tire in assisting the DRC. Josephine Mugio, CBC News, Harare.
That story coming from our diplomatic correspondent Josephine Mugio. Now, the government has put in place adequate measures to benefit from the creation of a single market to drive the vision of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area. Now, this came out at the Africa Prosperity Dialogues currently underway in Accra, Ghana. We get more details from the upcoming report.
With the challenge of lower intracontinental trade as well as various socio-political and economic setbacks, the economic blueprint, the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, aims to deliver sustainable growth on the continent. Speaking during a panel discussion on energy and development within Africa at the ongoing Africa Prosperity Dialogues in Accra, Ghana, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Energy and Power Development, Engineer Gloria Magombo, highlighted how Zimbabwe has partnered with the private sector to propel energy development.
As a country, we have changed our legal and regulatory framework to come up with policies which will allow for private sector to come into the sector, develop projects, and be able to sell both to the utility but also the private sector.
In the field of ICT, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of ICT, Postal and Courier Services, Dr. Beulah Chirume, noted the need to create a borderless Africa through connectivity.
It is therefore very, very crucial for us to attain or achieve quality connectivity, fostering on seamless, borderless. There shouldn't be any difference between Ghana, Zimbabwe, and the other countries, facilitating ease of doing business within our own African context, to bring in trade efficiency and more collaboration.
The country's trade promotion body, Zimtrade, is pushing for more intracontinental trade.
The first point of call is value addition. If we just value add what we have, that trajectory will change. But also, most importantly, if we then work on the infrastructure to facilitate that which we have value added, and also the services we are moving, it's also going to change a lot in terms of our exports. If you look at our exports for Zimbabwe, I think 85%, 90% it's minerals and commodities, etc. So if we can put more effort in making sure that processing of our minerals done locally, our tobacco, there's been a lot of significant effort towards that. In our cotton, I think a lot will change in terms of our value for exports.
According to Zimtrade, trade within Africa stands at around 15 to 17%, noting the need to upscale it while also applying value addition to the raw materials that are abundant on the continent. Olina Ndori, ZBC News, Accra.
The ZANU-PF Harare Province Youth League has endorsed the party's resolution that His Excellency the President, Comrade Emmerson Mnangagwa, should stay in the country's leader until 2030 to see through the attainment of Vision 2030.
The ZANU-PF Harare Province Youth League held its first inter-district meeting for 2025, where deliberations are centered on the ZANU-PF 21st National People's Conference resolution to extend the presidential term limit to 2030.
Resolution number 1 yeku conference ndeyekuti vanhu semusangano tese takawirirana kuti 2030 vaMnangagwa vanenge vachitonga. Saka that resolution ndio yatiri kuimplementa nekuti ndo zvatakawirirana semusangano munhu wese aripo. Saka isusu se Youth League tiri kutsigira president vaMnangagwa, tiri kutsigira ZANU-PF kuti 2030 tinenge tichitonga.
ZANU-PF Harare Province Chairperson Comrade Goodwill Masimirembwa elaborates on the resolution and the provisions of the presidential term limit.
If you read section 91 subsection 2 of the Constitution, which deals with the presidential term limits, it shows that a president can serve for 2 terms of 5 years each. But if he serves for a period which is less than 3 years, it is not considered a term. And indeed, we all know His Excellency assumed the presidency of this country in December 2017, and he was in office until we went for the 2018 elections in August. No one is saying from the 10 years, remove the 9 months. You cannot say that because Section 91 subsection 2 says it is not part of a term because it is under 3 years. So for 2 years, it simply means the president will continue to serve and his service will be in conformity with the presidential term limit as stipulated in Section 91 subsection 2 of the Constitution.
Meanwhile, the Youth League has unveiled an action plan for 2025, as well as various empowerment projects for the youth dividend.
President vaMnangagwa pachirongwa chavo, President vanoti leaving no one or no place behind. Mugore rakapera takaona president vachilonja munhu mutapa youth housing scheme kuno kuHarare province vane land yavo kunonzi kuDinota. Right now itorina developer pa ground yatiri kuti futi ma youth should benefit vachibhadhara mari zvishoma zvishoma.
The 2025 Youth League Action Plan will also identify challenges being faced by youths and identify short to medium term solutions towards empowerment of young people. John Nandara, ZBC News, Harare.
The Zimbabwe National Liberation War Veterans Association, Mashonaland West chapter, has denounced recent utterances made by fellow war veteran from the province, Comrade Blessed Geza, saying the wing is fully behind the ZANU-PF National People Conference resolutions, which include term extension for President Emmerson Mnangagwa to see through the attainment of Vision 2030. In a media briefing in Chinhoyi this Saturday, the War Veterans Association, Mashonaland West chairperson, Comrade Hepison Muchechetere, said pronouncements by Comrade Geza do not represent the collective opinion of the war veterans of the liberation struggle and are meant to destabilize the ruling party. We get more details in the upcoming report.
Say, my provincial members, Mashonaland West, tataura kuti Comrade Geza is not our member, avasimu league province, neither is he in the association. Saka kuti vanotivo ndiri kutaura ndakamirira macomrades. I think tichada kuzovabvunza kana imi ibasa renyu rekubvunza kuti macomrades amakavamirira ndevapi, vatatu vanga vanavo here pacheya kana kuti macomrades ese, nekuti macomrades resolution yavo imwe ndeyekuti vanoda minda vachipuwa matitle deeds. Uye resolution yekuti vaMnangagwa vaenderere mberi kusvika muna 2030, Secretary wePublicity vataura kuti you can find it muma minutes, even kubva kusel kuti chinyi, kuti this was a resolution which was deliberated by every other section of the party. Ikashika to the head, ikabuda pa National People's Conference kuBulawayo muna October. So I don't see kuti kana munu democracy inoti the majority takes precedence, the minority vanoteerera zvinotaurwa nei majority. Kana majority yativo ngavaenderere mberi. You have to abide by that, even uchida usingadi, because that is democracy.
Government has reaffirmed its commitment to ensuring the well-being of civil servants following the launch of the Civil Servants Commonage Housing Program in Masvingo, which will benefit over 500 government workers. Let's have that report.
The scheme will see the development of affordable residential stands on commonage land, which will be allocated to eligible civil servants at a subsidized rate. The beneficiaries of the program say the initiative is an opportunity for them to own homes, given the challenges they face in securing affordable housing.
Hurumende Second Republic inotungamirirwa na baba vedu vaMnangagwa. Ndokuvatenda nekundipawo stand nekundipawo pekugara.
Ndinonza kufara nezvinhu zvataitirwa izvi. Hatitatambitirwa zvakadai.
Donzo remumwe nomumwe kuti awane pokugara pakakodzera. Saka chirongwa chedu chanhasi chandawanawo pokupuwa stand yokugara. Tinoda kutenda hurumende.
547 residential stands located in Victoria Range and Klipsham areas will be allocated to civil servants.
The implementation of this noble commonage housing program demonstrates His Excellency President Comrade E.D. Mnangagwa's unwavering commitment to providing affordable housing to the general citizen, including supporting our civil servants who continue to save our nation.
The Minister of Local Government and Public Works, Honorable Daniel Garwe, noted that the scheme is part of government's larger housing program, demonstrating a holistic approach to addressing housing needs across the country.
The application process will be fair and transparent, and I assure you that all eligible civil servants will have an equal chance of being allocated a stand. We have been told that the backlog here is 2,000. We have already removed 500.
Meanwhile, Minister Garwe also noted that the recent utterances by a war veteran, Comrade Blessing Geza, calling for the resignation of the President, His Excellency, Comrade Emmerson Mnangagwa, were improper.
I know the Comrade Blessing Geza, mazuva matatu apfuura aituka vaMnangagwa. Ndinofunga makazviona pasocial media. Achituka munhu akanga ari komanda wake kuhondo. Achituka munhu akanga ari komanda wake hondo yapera. Achituka munhu president wake afurirwa netunofurira musangano weZANU-PF nenyika ino ine bumbiro remutemo. Kana tiri kuma-war veterans vaimba kuti kune nzira dzemasoja dzekuzvibata nadzo. Zvaitaura kuti kana uine zvinyunyuto zvauinazvo unoenda kuvatungamiri vari padhuze newe wondonyunyuta uripo, ivo ndivanozozvitora voendesa kuvakuru zvogadziriswa.
Under the Second Republic, the country has witnessed a significant transformation in housing delivery, with the government prioritizing affordable housing through the implementation of policies that foster access to decent shelter. Gay Matambo, ZBC News, Masvingo.
The government has commended the Zimbabwe prisons and correctional services for scaling up agricultural production as part of the organization's reintegration efforts.
Located 35 kilometers southeast of Marondera town, Rigidita Prison has become a model institution through its agro-centered rehabilitation programs aimed at ensuring food self-sufficiency for the correctional services. Speaking soon after witnessing the farming exploits of Rigidita inmates who are expecting to harvest 500 tons of maize from the 100 hectares planted this farming season, the Minister of Justice, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs, Honorable Siyambi Ziyambi, lauded the prison's farming efforts.
We are also pleased with the fact that the correctional officers are imparting skills to our inmates so that upon release they will be able to contribute to our food security situation by being productive farmers. So we are very happy, and I want to encourage the officers to continue with this trust.
ZPC has pledged to increase agricultural production.
The farm is under Natural Agroecological Zone 2B and serves as both a correctional facility and a center for rehabilitation in line with the organization's trajectory. It emphasizes self-sufficiency through large-scale agricultural production, including crops like maize and wheat, as well as livestock farming.
The Zimbabwe Prisons and Correctional Services Rehabilitation Program is aimed at equipping offenders with requisite skills that will help them become productive members of society upon their release from prison. Festus Mkongorese, ZBC News, Harare.
Public transport operators have welcomed the gazetting of a statutory instrument which requires drivers of public service vehicles to be aged 30 and above, saying the move will curb road carnage and recklessness on the roads.
In a government gazette published this Friday, Transport and Infrastructure Development Minister Honorable Felix Mona confirmed the new regulations which state that public service vehicle drivers must be 30 years of age and have a minimum of 5 years driving experience. However, drivers aged between 25 and 30 who were already authorized to drive prior to the new regulation will be allowed to continue driving public service vehicles. The new regulation has been welcomed by transporters, describing the move as a positive development in reducing road carnage.
Zvakanaka zvikuru ende tinoona zvakakodzera kuti vakavawo vanhu vabva zera, vanhu vati kurei vaine ruzivo rwuri nani, sekuti munhu ane 30 years muchirungu tinenge tichiti ave neexperience yekutyaira dzimota.
Isitiri kuti SIA yabuda nguva yakanaka tatakaimirira, nekuti kana munhu ane 30 years zvinoratidza kuti anenge amature. The 5 years experience futi yavapo munhu anenge ane 35 years. Saka we are very happy.
As part of efforts to reduce road accidents, government also introduced speed limiting and monitoring devices in public service vehicles. These regulations come as Zimbabwe records over 2,000 road traffic related deaths annually, with negligent driving being identified as the leading cause. Fungai Jachi, ZBC News, Harare.
Now, for these and more stories, be sure to log on to our website. That's www.zbc.co.zw. You can also follow us on our social media pages on Facebook, YouTube, as well as X, and the tagline is @ZBC News Online. And speaking of the social media pages, what's happening on Facebook?
We're streaming live on Facebook and looks like they are interacting amongst themselves. I'm not sure what their topic is about. However, Dixon Majea says, "Good evening, Zimbabwe, watching from Manika Bridge." Interesting. Okay. And he says, many thanks to ZBC and for bringing us the news. And some are streaming live. They're saying we're watching from Portsmouth. Some are watching from New Zealand.
Wow.
And thank you so much for streaming live there across the globe, Tari.
Yeah. Okay, for now, let us give you the story still to come in this bulletin. In business, Zimbabwe sets a first quarter deadline for public-private partnership guidelines to boost the infrastructure project. And in sport, Zimbabwe relegated to Davis Cup Africa Zone Group 3 after a 4-love loss to Morocco.
These and other stories to come ahead in this bulletin. We're off to a break. To stay with us.
Stroke of genius! Introduce the stroke of genius. Oh, Zimbabwe yakuzosumuka manje. Stroke of genius andiri kureva chera. President E.D. Mnangagwa vari kupa mabankable, registrable and transferable title deeds na every farmer akapuwa munda pa land reform program. Takanga takapuwa minda asi takanga tisina simba rekupinda mumabhengi semama mumabusiness kuti tipewo maloni akachipa tatakuwara nezvimbazo man. Zvino ne-stroke of genius yekupuwa matitle deeds tikupinduka mubhengi sevamwe totopuwa maloni takutodevelopa mafamu.
Saka kuduza kuti land yese yatoneva
ende ukapuwa title deed iroro chiyera mundu wako uchatoreki atova nhaka yevazukuru nevazukuru ndo zvinoda fama manje izvozvo security of tenure.
Iwe pandiri panapa ndakutokwanisa kutopa vana nhaka kuti chidimu chako ichi chemunda chidimu chako ichi.
Exactly.
zvichifambiswa sei?
President Idi Mnangagwa igenius manje vakabva vati kuti zvinyatsofamba negwara rakatwasanuka zviri transparent ndobva vagadza inonzi Land Tenure Implementation Committee iri kushanda nemumapazi ehurumende.
But iwo unozviziva iwo kuti kune maland barons akazara ukanopamba minda dzevanhu.
Dai vatoregera zvavo ndiwo ukopo husiri kudiwa naPresident Mnangagwa irwohwo. Ndosaka Land Tenure Implementation Committee yakati ngatishandisei ma-ID numbers, namba dzepachitupa kuti munhu haakwanisi kuva nemafamu maviri. Plus Land Tenure iyi committee haisi kupa minda pachayo. Iri kutwasanudza pakupiwa kwema-title deeds.
Alright. Iwe saka zvichida kuti taatoprotected kasei mavarimi.
Exactly manje.
Ukaziva
kuti une stroke of genius here. President Idi apa vasikira vana veZimbabwe upfumi.
Welcome back and thank you so much for staying with us. The Mount Darwin community is on cloud nine after the ZANU-PF leadership adopted a multi-stakeholder approach to boost the healthcare facilities, with 5 health centers receiving an assortment of goods to improve service delivery. That report next.
The Mount Darwin political leadership visited health facilities in the district, availing much-needed assistance in various forms to 5 clinics, mainly in previously marginalized areas.
Tiri kufara zvikuru nevhiziti yataitirwa na Dr. Senator Makamba kuno kwa Mutasa ku Mount Darwin. Kunonzi kure hakusvikike, but iwo varatidza chido chekuti vange vari kuno. Tiri kufara zvikuru kuburikidzawo nema donations avatiitira pachipatara.
Ona zvakawanda zvavatipa zvinosanganisa masanitizer nemari dzimwe dzavabatsirawo kuti tibatsirike sechipatara chiri kushayiwa zvinenge zvakati wandei.
Catchment area yedu inokava 11,827 people, but tatingori nema-toilets mashoma 4 anoshandisa vanhu. Saka MP wedu vamunemo vatipa cement 20 bags dzekuti tivake mamwe ma-toilets 4. Saka tinoda kutenda nerubatsiro irworwo.
Ma-donations apiwa nhasi nakapiwa last week. Tiri kufara zviri kubatsira kuti timanage ma-clinics edu. Then moral
handing over donations, Mount Darwin Senator Dr. James Makamba, who was accompanied by Mount Darwin North Legislator Honorable Laban Munemo and Proportional Representation Legislator Honorable Elizabeth Shongeza, among other leaders, said supporting health institutions is key in fostering healthy lifestyles.
Mount Darwin is not a secret. The district was ravaged by the War of Liberation. So we are somewhat lagging behind compared to other districts. So we cannot only wait for government projects. Us as leaders, we are elected by these very people who are here. They expect change, they expect progress, they expect assistance. So we run around, we raise funds from business people, from the community, from NGOs, and help the efforts of government in uplifting the standard of living for our people.
Hatifanirwe kumirira kuti treasury yedu ichaunza mari tozodi. Iweneni.
The 5 health centers comprising Mutasa, Kamzenzere, Lotito, Nembire and Mutungagore Clinic received assistance ranging from building materials, detergents and foodstuffs. Tapiwa Machemeze, ZBC News, Mount Darwin.
And on that note, we cross over to our Montrose studios where Marilyn Ngwenya is on standby. Good evening to you, Marilyn.
Good evening and many thanks to you, Terrio and Leanne. And now moving on to a rather sad note, Happiness Chimbangu of Culture Park in Bulawayo, who is alleged to have butchered her husband and 2 children, has been remanded in custody to the 14th of February.
The woman was alleged to have murdered her husband, Edwin Chibangu, and her 2 children, appeared before Blair's West Commonwealth Magistrate, Ms. Ketilamwe, this Saturday, where she was remanded in custody to the 14th of February as the state continues with investigations. It is the state case that on the 29th of January, the late Edwin Chibangu arrived at their place of residence in Culture Park at around 2000 hours, where he inquired from the accused why she had not prepared supper, leading to the accused grabbing a table knife, threatening to kill herself. The state further alleged that the late called 2 church elders and the mother of the accused for assistance in resolving the matter. After retiring to bed at around 1 a.m., on the 30th of January, the accused is alleged to have armed herself with a metal dagger, which she had borrowed from a co-tenant the previous day, striking her late husband 3 times on the throat and twice on the jaws. It is alleged that the accused went on to strike a 4-year-old child 3 times on the neck and struck the 7-month infant 4 times on the head. After the war gruesome act, it is alleged that Happiness Chibangu went to one of her church colleagues where she narrated what she had done. Yolanda Moy, ZBC News, Bulawayo.
The Second Republic's commitment to provision of quality education for its citizenry is on display after a new modern school, Matendele Primary in Plumtree, was commissioned this Friday.
According to the 2022 census, Plumtree town has experienced a rapid growth in development coupled with relatively high population of children of the school-going age. It further points out that of the estimated 20,000 people that live in the border town, each homestead has an average of 4 people, with 2 being children of school-going age. The number of schools, however, did not meet the needs of the population, with Dingumuzi Primary School accommodating almost 2,000 pupils. As such, in line with government's commitment to provide quality education for all, Plumtree Town Council channeled devolution funds to the construction of a new school.
Isikolo lesi siyakhwe ngemali esuka ebahlalini bePlumtree, iphinde sisebenzise enye imali okuthiwa yi-via levy, siphinde sisebenzise njalo enye imali okuthiwa yi-devolution abayibiza bethi intergovernmental fiscal transfer. Izo imali ezingene ukwakha lesi sikolo.
We as Plumtree Town Council, Mama, Honorable Minister, we are in full support of Vision 2030, where it talks about education for all by 2030.
The project, which cobbled 198,000 United States dollars, joins a long list of new schools constructed in Matabeleland South, including Polimagama in Matobo, Johnsley Primary School in Gwanda, and Pezulu Primary School Teachers' Quarters in Insiza, as government commits to the provision of quality education to its citizenry.
By investing in schools, the government of Zimbabwe is investing in a generation of future leaders, innovators, and change makers, who will drive Zimbabwe towards prosperity, success, modernization, and industrialization of its economy.
Government is on a massive drive to transform the education sector as the country surges towards Vision 2030.
This development seeks to address accessibility and reduction in distances traveled by our learners, reduce low attendance levels from all children, including those with special needs.
Matendele Primary School will service new suburbs like Matendele and ZBS, as well as decongesting old schools like Matiwaza, Alan Redfern and Dingimuzi Primary Schools, with a combined population of 3,460 pupils. Providence Maranelli, ZBC News, Plumtree.
People with disabilities in Gweru are poised for better opportunities after the city fathers pledged to put a quota system for the group in all potential business opportunities in the Midlands capital. Our Midlands Bureau Chief, Tafaraj Kumira, filed the following report.
The Gweru City Council, in partnership with the Albinism Trust of Zimbabwe, is extending an olive branch to the people with disabilities with a view to empowering them and become independent. It emerged during a meeting between City Fathers and Albino Trust of Zimbabwe that people with disabilities are now geared to start their own projects.
It is an embarrassment, Your Worship, for the city of Gweru to have persons with disabilities begging, and as such, empowerment platforms should be utilized. Let's start with what we have. The housing issues are also some of the issues, and we recommend the city through you that when you be also allocating residential stands, Please promote and prioritize low housing schemes for those with disabilities.
The city fathers pledge to ensure people with disabilities get preference whenever opportunities arise in the city.
We are honored to partner with you in promoting inclusivity and accessibility in our community. As council, we are going to look into it and we are going to ensure that we are going to support you.
The event also witnessed the visually impaired receiving various assistive devices.
Ndafara zvikuru kuti vanotirangarira avo muZimbabwe muno kuti vane zvirema zvavo murambe makadaro muchitirangarira tawana ziso redu rekufambisa
uyezve kana iri wachi inotibatsirawo pakuti nguva hatichakwanisi kutsvaka umwe munhu timubvunza kuti tiudzewo kuti yava nguva asi tinongobaya toga totonzwa nguva yotitaurira.
The move by city fathers and their development partner is in line with the Second Republic's inclusive development agenda. Tafara Chikumira, ZBC News, Gweru.
Government is set to expand the rebranded Youth Service in Zimbabwe program, with new training centers set to be established in Mashonaland East and Matabeleland South provinces this year.
In an interview with ZBC News, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Youth Empowerment, Development and Vocational Training, Mr. Solomon Mhlanga, reviewed they are developing a youth empowerment strategy to enable expansion of youth empowerment programs.
The purpose of this gathering is to ensure that we focus our efforts on youth empowerment issues, which is an area of critical importance to the country. The youth service in Zimbabwe program, you will see that we started in July 2024 last year. We have had our first cohort of the graduates, and we are now proceeding to have the second intake for which will happen in 2025. We are looking at February for that intake to happen, and we are looking at opening up Igava Training Center near Marondera for Mashonaland East, as well as Pangani Vocational Training Center in Matabeleland South.
Organizations dealing with youth affairs believe government should address issues of funding, training and information dissemination.
We've also realized that youth need to be educated. They need to be schooled so that they understand what is available for them. Because I think that's one of the gaps that is actually there, that youth don't know where to go to get assistance.
The moment that we've got a youth empowerment strategy on the cards or finished, it also means that the government is able to allocate resources. It is able to create partnerships and collaborations with the private sector, with the development partners, to also ensure that we accelerate issues of empowerment.
A key element within this entrepreneurship ecosystem is also youth access to finance, because we have many youths which are coming up with exciting entrepreneurial ventures, but they are lacking adequate financing and capital to realize their dreams.
The youth empowerment strategy is guided by the National Youth Policy, which reflects on the commitment by government to meet the needs and aspirations of young people. Kenya's Chivuje, ZBC News, Mutare.
And that's it for myself, Marilyn Gonya, and the Montrose crew for tonight. It's back to the team at Pocket Hill Studios in Harare for more news. And of course, Tariro is on standby. Tariro, it's over to you.
Thank you very much for that, Marilyn. Now we continue with the rest of the bulletin from our Pocket Hill studios in Harare. Now, the Zimbabwe Broadcasting Corporation stole the limelight at the 5th edition of the Zimbabwe Community Trailblazers Awards held in Harare Friday night, after scooping 3 awards in recognition of the national broadcaster's contribution to community development. More details coming up.
It was a night to remember for the national broadcaster after it was honored for its programming that is having a positive impact in communities. Radio Zimbabwe, commonly known as Nephenyuro Yevanu, Umsakazo Wabantu, scooped a Hall of Fame award, while one of the station's top producer-presenters, Rutendo Makuti, received recognition for her sterling work through the program Ruoko Runopa.
Tiri kusandura upenyu hwevanhu kuburikidza nezvirongwa zvatinoita, kuburikidza nema outreach atinoita, ma road shows kwatinoenda tichinofadzana nevanhu ikoko. Ndo zvaita kuti nhasi netingisvika panapa pamaodzano ema community trailblazers. Zvanzaiwa tiri kupinda mu hall of fame, chinhu chinofadza.
Tikatarisa kuti Ruoko Runopa iprogram yatinoona kuti vazhinji vabatsirikana nayo paRadio Zimbabwe. Saka ndiri kufara nezvaitwa neveZim Community Trailblazers. Ndisingakanganwi zvakare kutenda family yese yeRadio Zimbabwe. Tinoshanda takabatana.
ZBC News reporter Colette Msanyera was named the Best Arts Reporter of the Year. Other winners from various sectors were equally excited for the recognition.
Award inotibatsira kuti tisimudzire kuenda mberi zvitipe shungu kuburikidza nekubatsira kwatiri kuita kumayouth atiri kuemploya zvikuru sei vafana vechidiki vanenge vachiita zvemadrugs.
It is indeed a great honor to be acknowledged by the organizers of the Trailblazer. So we're here really to advocate a war against drugs. You know, they speak about a pandemic.
Organizers of the event said they aim to inspire others to reach their full potential in transforming communities.
From the inception of these awards, they have been inspiring and they are contagious within themselves. Because year in, year out, we see different categories of people who are receiving awards in recognition for their efforts. And these are common, ordinary people.
Government spoke on the importance of a collaborative effort to build better communities.
Our coming here to witness this award giving ceremony is an indication that as government, we believe we have the responsibility, we are masters of our own destiny, and that we should work together to support each other, to criticize each other constructively, but at the same time, to support the development of our country.
The Zim Community Trailblazers Awards celebrate and acknowledge outstanding individuals and organizations across all sectors in Zimbabwe. Fungai Jachi, ZBC News, Harare.
The Sanyati community in Mashonaland West Province has benefited from free medical outreach programs being rolled out in the district in line with the government's universal health coverage drive.
Sanyati district is the latest to benefit from the Presidential Emergency Medical Scheme, a partnership between government and a local health service provider, Discovery Ambulance Services. Offering free consultation, screening and treatment, the outreach program has come as a huge relief to the community, which has been traveling 10 kilometers to the nearest health facility.
Toda kuchitenda zvikuru nokudzidziswa kuri kuitwa vanhu pamusoro pe-first aid kuitira kuti time yavanokundikana vanenge vaziva kuti chii chakonzeresa vobva vakurumbidza kudana veutano.
Discovery yauya ichiti kurapwa pachena. Ipapo muono wa His Excellency Comrade E.D. Mnangagwa vaona mberi
dai vakaramba vachingodaro vachienderera mberi vachiuya kana kuti mwedzi woga woga chembere dzichibatsirika.
The program is also offering free first aid training to the local community.
Tichatraina futi vanhu free first aid training. Sachatraina vanhu kuti vapuwe ma skills ekuti vagone kubatsirana kana kapaitika njodzi.
Sanyati legislator Honorable Polite Kambamura said the program is in line with government's universal health coverage drive.
Chitiko chekutanga aisati chamboitika kuno. Saka vanhu vari kufara, vari kunzwa kurerukirwa nekuti hapana mari iri kubhadharwa. Vari kurapwa pachena. Consultation fee is zero. Mapirizi vari kupiwa pachena, ma injections machena. Kune first aid training zvakare iri kuitwa kuHoroko.
Government is implementing the National Community Health Strategy, which seeks to establish a health center within every 5-kilometer radius across the country. Tamuka Charakupa, ZBC News, Sanyati.
And on that note, we take a short break, but when we come back, we'll be giving you the business news. In the meantime, be sure to follow and subscribe to our YouTube channels, our Facebook channel, as well as our X handle at ZBC News Online. Stay tuned.
Step up with DSTV and we'll show up by giving you more incredible entertainment.
Going to have a little fun.
Upgrade your subscription between the 13th of January and the 31st of March and get an even higher package for a whole month on us.
To the back of the net!
There's nothing better than putting a little bit in but getting a lot out.
This is the time to take risks.
Incredible!
I've heard good things about you. Don't let me down.
Step up and we'll show up on your home of entertainment, DSTV.
The Zimbabwe Tourism Authority is calling all operators of tourist facilities who have not registered or those with expired licenses and certificates to come forward and register their facilities in compliance with the provisions of Section 36 of the Tourism Act, Chapter 14, 20 of 1996 by 15 February 2025. According to Statutory Instrument Number 106 of 1996, categories of the tourist facilities that must be registered with the Zimbabwe Tourism Authority include but are not limited to conference organizers, restaurants, whether in hotel or otherwise, fast food restaurants, vehicle, bicycle, boat, bus hire, courier shops, tour operators, hunting operators, tour guides, non-hotel conference facilities and venues, travel agents including those online, accommodation including hotels, lodges, guest houses, camps and campsites, bed and breakfast accommodation, Airbnb accommodation, visitor attractions including game parks, farms, art galleries, visitor activities including golf, horse riding, bungee jumping, wedding venues, picnic or braai sports, open air function venues. All facilities that register or renew their licenses and certificates on or before the 15th of February 2025 will have no penalties charged. From the 1st of March 2025, the Zimbabwe Tourism Authority, in conjunction with law enforcement agents, will be deployed to bring all unregistered facilities to book. For further information and assistance, please do not hesitate to contact us at the Zimbabwe Tourism Authority offices that are located across the country. Travel and experience Zimbabwe. Zimbo.
Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. We now give you the business news. Zimbabwe has set a deadline for the rolling out of public-private partnership guidelines by the first quarter of this year to increase infrastructure projects.
The Zimbabwe Investment and Development Agency has revealed in its report that the guidelines will soon be presented to Cabinet for approval. With the public-private partnerships are guidelines seeking for enhanced investments in infrastructure development across the country. There are expectations the move will strengthen collaboration between private contractors and government.
What is critical now is to ensure that in various forms of infrastructure, there is private sector partnership and participation. Why? Because currently at the moment, government has got other challenges, servicing of both the external and domestic debt. And where you have got your private partners coming through, they will actually help in the development of infrastructure.
The world over, we've seen infrastructure being developed in such an arrangement. Such an arrangement is beneficial to the communities because at least they know how the capital is going to be deployed, accountability and transparency at every given time.
The guidelines seek to solve challenges in terms of PPPs projects, identify opportunities and foster a friendly business climate. Research shows that countries which have implemented public-private partnerships on infrastructure developments have benefited in terms of overall economic growth. Stanley James, ZBC News, Harare.
Stanley James there putting the cap on business news. To the arts now. Senator Tichareva with his song Mirira claimed the pole position on the Radio Zimbabwe Top 20 chart show this week, displaying the Zora King Leonard Jakata. Let's take a look.
Senator Tichareva garnered 3,364 votes to claim the first position this week, ousting Tanyaradzwa, a song by Zora music star Leonard Jakata, who was in pole position for 2 consecutive weeks. Magora, a song by Precious Chakuba, settled the second position, while Culture Love maintained 3rd position with Noji Sungirira. Zungura singer Parazai Messi, who bounced back on the chart last week, set on number 13 from 7. Mambo Duterero occupied 20th position with the song Kudenga Kunamari from 18th position last week. Fungai Jachi, ZBC News, Harare.
The Arts News concluding this segment of the news bulletin. We take a break, but when we come back, we'll be updating you on sports news. Stay tuned.
The Big Brother Mzansi house is giving spice. It's giving umlilo. So find some shade, because the housemates have entered the chat and they will tell what they must for the 2 meter. It's all about keeping it cool, even when they are seeing flames. Asbanye.
Big Brother Mzansi Season 5 starts Sunday, 12th January at 6 p.m. only on the home of local.
Big Brother Mzansi, proudly sponsored by Lotto Star.
Welcome back. We now give you the sports news. Zimbabwe have been relegated to Africa's Zone Group 3 after a 4-love whitewash against Morocco in the Davis Cup playoffs played at Harare Sports Club this Saturday.
Needing nothing short of victory to stay in the contest, Zimbabwe's doubles, a pair of Courtney Locke and Ronan Mtisi, failed to get the win after going down 6-1, 6-1 to Morocco. The host lost the first 2 matches of the tie, rendering the doubles a meeting all-important, but it wasn't to be as the visitors showed their class. Zimbabwe's top seed, Courtney Locke, has considered that the team's lack of depth has been exposed.
We only had a team of 3, which I think wasn't good, and it's not a good sign for tennis in Zimbabwe. Obviously unfortunate Benji was injured, but needs to have there needs to be more depth in the country for tennis. Benji and I have been playing for Davis Cup for 10-15 years, and obviously it's unfortunate with injuries, but it's hard to compete when we've got 3 guys and they've got a full team.
Zimbabwe are missing the country's top-ranked player Benjamin Locke, who pulled out of the contest due to an injury. Karim Benani of Morocco completed the whitewash in the dead rubber after overcoming Mtisi 6-4, 6-3. The loss means Zimbabwe will be relegated to Africa's Zone Group 3, while Morocco ends promotion to World Group 2. Anna Shemrombedzi, ZBC News, Harare.
And now 2 losing ZIFA presidential candidates, Philemon Machana and Twine Piri, have taken their loss to the Court of Arbitration for Sport, citing third-party interference.
The duo of Philemon Machana and Gwen Phiri claimed that businessman Ugnes Chivayo's posts on social media before the elections had an influence on the outcome of the plebiscite. The two are seeking a nullification of the ZIFA elections, which saw businessman Nqobile Magwizi winning with a landslide. According to their appeal, Machana and Phiri are seeking 1. A declaration that there was third-party influence in respect of the elections for the president of ZIFA, which rendered the poll illegitimate. 2. A declaration that the election of our first respondent, Magwizi, as the president of ZIFA on the 25th of January is now in void. 3. An order that the second respondent, that is ZIFA, to conduct a fresh poll for the position of president within 30 days. ZBC News spoke to legal experts on the merits of the issue raised by the two.
International Court of Sports Arbitration generally does not interfere with the decisions of local sporting bodies, especially ones that are constituted in a jurisdiction like ZIFA in our example, unless there is something that is markedly unique to the case that warrants the interference of a court directly into these affairs.
Clearly, there are no prospects of success because the two applicants must and should prove that Magwizi is associated to Ugnes Chivayo, their claims. They must prove that truly there was corruption, there was rigged, which I think is a mammoth task, but they don't have the evidence. And he who alleges must bring the evidence and must prove through the evidence that this 1, 2, 3 happened.
Businessman Nqobile Magwizi won the election after he accumulated 61 votes. Machana had 6, while Phiri managed just 4. Meanwhile, the newly elected ZIFA Executive Committee takes office this Saturday following the end of the ZIFA Normalization Committee's tenure. Lawrence Tusida, ZBC News, Harare.
As the new leadership of the Zimbabwe Football Association, led by President Nqobile Magwizi, officially takes over the reins this Saturday, fans have implored the new leadership to prioritize football development.
The newly elected ZIFA board officially took office this Saturday after the expiration of the Normalization Committee's term on the 31st of January. Football fans are eagerly anticipating a brighter future for the beautiful game, and with the AFCON tournament on the horizon, fans are expecting the Warriors to be well motivated and perform at their best in Morocco. The football-loving community is, however, cognizant of the need for improvement in several key areas. Top of the list is the refurbishment of facilities such as the National Sports Stadium to meet CAF standards, enabling Zimbabwe to host international matches.
Tikutarisirawo kuti new ZIFA board inge ichitanga kuita basa ende basa rawo riri kutangira pama upcoming matches AFCON tournament. Tikutarisirawo kuti tinge tiri successful zvimwe chetezvo nema World Cup qualifiers. Tikutarisirawo kuti tinge tichino performa zvakanaka.
Patinoda kuti tigadzirisire kunyanya maplayers edu maurairs anofanira kuwana mari because muna December mu atisida kutomboita zvokumisa, tida kungotsvuna
tombonyatsochinjawo maplayers edu kuti aningi watakangokura tichingoona aiwa tombotowapfana waichidika wambofamba wazifa yambofamba muzvikoro tichimbofamba muno anotamba bhora waya.
Tine issue yekuti tinongoti coach pakati tobva tadzinga coach. We need kumbopa coach nguva yedevelopment, but all the same we need grassroots soccer todzoka muzvikoro.
Kutasira kuti maground apere kuti tiwane kuti kuti bhora ringonotambirwa kuRwanda kana kuSouth Africa topindawo mari dzichipindawo munyika dzichibatsirawo kusport.
The newly elected executive committee will run football affairs for the next 4 years. Anna Shemrombedzi, ZBC News, Harare.
Chipinge-based Premier Soccer League club Green Fuel have acquired 10 new players after the departure of several players to other clubs.
After finishing 12th on the log last season, Green Fuel have parted ways with 10 players and have moved in swiftly to plug the gaps. The new signings include winger Perfect Chikwende from Simba Bora, attacking midfielder Ronald Chitio from Malawi Sinyasa Big Bullets, and Colin Mujuru, who was also in Malawi. An heralded midfielder Emmanuel Chikwende, defender Marlon Mshonga, midfielder Robert Kwaramba, as well as goalkeepers Frank Kuchine and Ashley Reynes complete the list of the new recruits. Greenfuel head coach Taurai Mangwiro believes his newly assembled team will mount a formidable challenge, describing the first 2 seasons in the Premier League as a solid foundation for a successful campaign.
We are in our 3rd week of preparations where we are on track. We have new faces in the team. We have also brought in some players of repute in Perfect Chikwende, Ronald Chitio, Colin Mujuru, goalkeeper Ashley Reyners.
The new players are optimistic of making a good impression.
Ndichizvimirira myself ndichazama kuisa effort yakawandisa kuimprova team kubva pengeti last season. Tingopromiswa mafans edu kuti sekuya kwatakaitawo kuno kuti ichazoshanda nesimba tiri kuti team yedu iperero iri pari pakanaka.
Ndofara zvisingaiti nekuwaniswa mukana wakadai so zvinova zviri zvekutanga-tanga muupenyu hwangu.
Ndofara neopportunity yatapiwa semalocals because tiri kuda kusimudzira team yedu.
Tineso kukhangelele ukuthi sisebenze siqedise kuposition engcono kule last time.
Greenfuel have been in the league for the past 2 seasons and have seen a huge turnover of both players and coaches in their short stint. Kenya's Chivuje, ZBC News, Chipinge.
After registering another dominant win over the Marondera Talons at Old Hararian Sports Club this Saturday.
The lads from Pitbulls are not slowing down in their title defense, thwarting any opposition in their way. The latest victim being Marondera Talons, who were dismantled 67-3 this Saturday in a one-way affair. The log leaders proved why they are the team to beat with a solid all-round performance to tighten the screws on the scoreboard by denying the Talons a try in 80 minutes. The big victory moves the defending champions to 15 points in 3 affairs, with a massive goal difference of 205 to stem their ambitions earlier on in the league season. Second-placed Old Georgians also had a beautiful day on the park, maintaining a 100% record as they beat Northern Chiefs 55-15 in a match that produced 8 tries, keeping the Pitbulls in check. On the opposite end of the log, Zimbiru continued to struggle after losing a 3rd match running, succumbing to a 45-0 defeat in the hands of Zambezi Steelers. The result means that Zimbiru Titans anchor the log standings without a victory in their opening 3 matches of the season. Similar fate with Marondera Talons and Northern Chiefs will lie 2nd and 3rd from bottom respectively. Meanwhile, Harare Sports Club women were precise this Saturday, beating Old Hararians 42-0 to get maximum points in a thrilling fashion. Reynald Ngwarati, ZBC News, Harare.
And now from the news to nature, let's check the weather with the Met Department. Up next. Good evening, Zimbabwe, and welcome to tonight's weather report and forecast. Hope I find you well. Looking at some of the precipitation, it was mainly over the northeastern parts of the country, areas such as Mvuri in Mashonaland East and parts of Mashonaland Central. The rest of the country was generally sunny for much of today. Brief cloudy periods were also experienced over the northwestern parts of the country, with the cloud mass coming in from Botswana into Matabeleland North and South provinces. For much of this week, we should have more influence of the ITCZ over the northern parts of the country, giving us a few cloudy periods over Mashonaland provinces, and with that it should be less cloudy over the rest of the country, where Bulawayo you're expecting just a few showers this week. The rest of the week has got less in terms of the cloud. More warmer conditions are projected also over Matopo. We're expecting just brief cloudy periods on Sunday. The rest of the week has got warmer conditions with mainly sunny conditions persisting into Gwanda area. We're expecting a bit of windy conditions for the first few days, but it's generally cloudy for Sunday only. The rest of the week under mostly sunny skies. For our temperature ranges, they are also increasing as we go into the week, where Masvingo is projected to reach about 31
for much of the afternoons for this week, with Gweru also expected to be in the 30s for this week. Compared to last week where we had a few 28s and 29s, it's much warmer this week with mostly sunny skies over much of these areas. Kadoma also projected to have brief cloudy periods from time to time with a few isolated showers because of remnant moisture, but nothing very significant. Also over Harare, we're not expecting much. For Chinhoyi, more isolated showers can be projected around Tuesday there. For Lupane, we're expecting a few showers as well because of the influence of the intertropical convergence zone. Into Victoria Falls, we're expecting brief cloudy periods as Saturday and Sunday tomorrow, where we're expecting a bit of cloud. But for Kariba, we're expecting more of the influence of the ITCZ over those northern parts of the country. Into Marondera, we're expecting brief cloudy periods here and there, but nothing significant in terms of rainfall. Same for Nyanga, we're expecting brief cloudy periods as well, but generally sunny and warm conditions for much of this week. That's all for our weather and forecast. It's been a pleasure, Zimbabwe. I'm James Kamachunya for the Met Department.
Now that's the weather report concluding the Saturdays in news at 8. That's all that we had today. Yeah.
Absolutely. It's a pleasant evening. Good night.
Good night.
Original and universal integration to all unity and all harmony. Cradle of humanity, cradle of our ancestors. Let us praise with joy the realization of our hopes and raise the banner of solidarity.
This summit has been convened urgently to discuss the deteriorating security situation in Eastern DRC. It is a situation that requires urgent intervention and our collective efforts to restore normalcy and ensure security of the SADC mission in the Democratic Republic of Congo, SAMI DRC, the FRDC, and the civilians in the area of operation. First and foremost, I would like to express my profound gratitude to His Excellency Dr. Emmerson Nambuso Mnangagwa, the President of the Republic of Zimbabwe and our Chair, for convening and hosting this extraordinary SADC Summit at short notice. It is the second extraordinary SADC Summit in a space of about 2 months to discuss the situation in Eastern DRC, following an earlier extraordinary